Good evening, Cherries fans, and thank you for joining me. So, it was a pleasure to be invited on to talkSPORT to speak to Rory and Flex with regards to Dominic Solanke. And of course, the actual clause that is put into his contract that he can only go to a European club um, if they pay 65 million. Other than that, it would be a lot more. Now, the thing is I gave my honest opinion of what I think Dominic Solanke will do. And as you will see, I believe that Dominic Solanke will stay at Dean Court for next season. The main reason he's flourishing under Andoni Iraola, which is a topic that we also discussed as well. And I did mention as well in the video about Semenyo. So further ado, I think it's probably best to watch my TalkSport appearance. Again, thank you to TalkSport for welcoming me on. And of course, Up the Cherries is the TalkSport channel of choice as part of the fan network. So do go check that out and do check out other channels for other clubs as well within the network. But thank you again to TalkSport, and here is the video.
Now, Dominic Solanke is being eyed by two Big Six Premier League clubs this summer, and the price is already set in stone. TalkSport understands there is a £65 million release clause inserted in Solanke's contract at Bournemouth. However, it's only active for the so-called Big Six clubs in the Premier League. Do we think that he could be on the move? And when, so-called Big Six clubs there, so we know roughly who those are. Let me ask you this then. Who needs Dominic Solanke the most out of the Big Six clubs?
I think there's an important question that we need to ask before we answer that.
Yeah.
How good is Dominic Solanke? Realistically, how good is Dominic Solanke? Like, realistically, do you think that Dom Solanke is going to do what he has done for Bournemouth time and time again? Because that's the question, isn't it?
Do you think it was just a purple patch or one season wonder?
I think there is potential that could be his best ever season.
Wow.
There is potential.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it.
Well, you've only seen it once, so there's always that potential.
Yeah.
You have to see what he does.
We've
in the
seen
second
a lot
season.
of strikers over the years, countless strikers, have an excellent season and then struggle to replicate that brilliant season.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're delighted to welcome to the show Craig Beazley, from the Up the Cherries in All Departments podcast. Craig, thank you for joining the show. Rory just sort of, before we get into it, Rory just sort of alluding to the fact that we're not really sure if Dominic Solanke can repeat this type of form and that type of goal return. What say you?
Personally, I think he does a lot more than that. I think, his return last season was excellent. And you know what he really benefited from was when we was relegated from the Premier League into the Championship. Of course, Callum Wilson left. Josh King left after a while. He got his chance. He got his chance to flourish. Last season, without a shadow of a doubt, was his best season yet. And I think under Iraola, he's really found some form. But it's not just that, it's what else he does. He brings other players into the game. So he'll drop back, he'll bring in Cliver, he'll bring in Billing, he'll pass it around. He's not a greedy striker. He's not what you would call a target man. He's somebody who can do a lot more than that, get really involved. And I think that is why so many clubs want Dominic Solanke. He's matured a lot with us, and he's only going to get better and better.
Bournemouth had an incredible season last year, Craig, and we'll obviously be looking to build on that next year. It's imperative, isn't it, that you keep hold of your better players, and the jewel in the crown is Dom Solanke. Do you think you can keep hold of him, or have you resigned yourself to losing his services this summer?
I've got to be honest, I've been looking at this today, and that clause, whoever put that in place, Neill Blake and Richard Hughes, who has now gone to Liverpool, did a fantastic job with firstly player recruitment, but also retaining the players and putting the clauses in. So whichever one of those has done that clause, has worked wonders. Really, the only threat I can actually see, and this is me being honest, is from Spurs. They're the only side I can see going in for Dominic Solanke.
Not Chelsea?
I think it's good.
Return?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Spurs are the side where Dominic Solanke would most likely go. He, of course, was at Chelsea beforehand. So he might want to prove a point. but I just can't see it. The thing is I am resigned to us losing him at some point, but not this window.
Craig, I know what your answer's probably going to be on this, because listen, you're a Bournemouth fan. You want as much money for Dominic Solanke as possible should he leave your football club. But £65 million, is that about right for an England goal scorer? I know he hasn't played loads for England, but in terms of somebody who's put the ball in the back of the net as many times as he has and goals coming at a premium, is that about right for Dominic Solanke, or should it really be less?
To be honest, he should be on the plane. And in fact, 65 million is probably a steal for what else he brings to the game. Now, if he's prepared alongside a player of real quality, somebody who is a poacher, and this is maybe somewhere that we've missed a trick, because of course Josh King and Callum Wilson paired very, very well up front together for us in the 5 years that we were in the Premier League under Eddie Howe. The thing is, he will bring in so many more. He'll bring in other players, and he's not greedy. It's more what he does, with the ball, and not shooting for goal, which is actually even more important. We've had goals going in from all over the pitch. Justin Kluivert has been excellent. You can say that Dominic Solanke has helped him in places. We've had so many goal scorers this season, and look back to last season as well, when we was being under Gary O'Neill. Again, he was doing the same. He didn't have the same sort of shooting boots on in front of goal, but he was creating so much more. That is why I feel, he should have gone to the Euros. He probably would be a very, very good partner, if needed, up front with Harry Kane. Harry Kane, bit more of a poacher. He can drop back, make things happen in the midfield, be really creative with Declan Rice. I don't know why Jack Grealish isn't going. I think that's a bit of a bad move by Gareth Southgate, but being creative in the midfield and then making that opportunity for Harry Kane. Dominic Solanke might only score one if he was going to the Euros, but it's what else he does. And that's why I think he's worth a lot more than the £65 million that is being mooted. He's come on leaps and bounds. He's matured as a player. And like I say, he's only going to get better.
That is interesting, Craig, because as much as I didn't necessarily think that Dom Solanke should go with Gareth Southgate to Germany, the fact that Ivan Toney has gone makes it very apparent that actually, if it's between the two, Dom Solanke had a far better season.
Form,
and playing,
absolutely.
like playing for England should be a meritocracy, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
It should be very easy to pick who goes to play for England, who's had a better season. And Ivan Toney's season was fairly insignificant, whereas Dom Solanke shone. Flex, you'd agree?
Yeah, I would, because in terms of, look, obviously Ivan come back from his ban and didn't really hit the ground running, and then had some injury problems as well. And Solanke's been fantastic in a new look Bournemouth side. I mean, the game that we played against them, Man United, where we drew 2-2, should have lost that game. They had loads of chances. Solanke was on fire. He was absolutely unbelievable. And you do look at it and think, can he do it again, though? That's the bit. I want to look at it and say, can he do it again? But in terms of this season, of how well he's played, let's be honest, he's absolutely been fantastic. Craig, how important has your manager Iraola been for him, and what did he change that's now allowed us to be seeing this sort of output from Dominic Solanke?
Well, after the first 9 games of the season, of course, we had a very, very slow start. I was one of the fans. I was a big Gary O'Neill fan. Some Bournemouth fans aren't. You'll be surprised to hear, but I was a big Gary O'Neill fan. And I just didn't think it was going to work. And then it did click, and we went a lot more direct. But just to answer your question, he's done so much with so many different players. He's improved their games. He's improved the intensity. Let's look at Anton Semenyo for an example of
He's been
this.
brilliant.
He was a player when he was at Bristol City who blew hot and cold. He wasn't consistent. And now he is an outstanding player, and I'm fearful actually of losing him. He was personally my player of the season because he was excellent. The step up that he's made, And the same can be said about Dominic Solanke. You know, the pace, the intensity, the dropping back is even better. The speed to get going again. Under Gary O'Neill, and I can see why they made the decision now, even though I was against it at the time. I wasn't against Iraola coming in because I knew about his time at Rayo Vallecano, and he had a fantastic track record there. But it was more that Gary had got a side which, let's be honest, even though Scott Parker deserved to be sacked for what he said, Scott Parker, in elements of what he did say, was right after that Liverpool defeat. I do feel that we weren't good enough, and Gary O'Neill got us to that point. Iraola's pushed us on another step, and he is imperative to this football club.
Yeah.
Some players, you know, and it's fair to say, some players will grow better under certain managers than others. And Solanke is one of those. Semenyo is one of those. Iraola seems to have, you know, that knack of actually improving players significantly.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Gary O'Neill, yeah, we grind results out. You know, he's done a fantastic job at Wolves. You can't knock him for that. But maybe there's only so much he can do. Eddie House, another one. You look at Joe Linton and what Joe Linton did, you know, before Eddie Howe got there. Under Steve Bruce, he was poor. Eddie Howe changed his position and got Joe Linton playing better. And Iraola, I know it's a bit of a long answer to your question. I do apologise about that, but that I feel
It shows the job that Iraola's done, though, and you're right.
Exactly.
You're right to highlight that. Absolutely, no, 100% agree there. He's been absolutely fantastic. Craig, thank you so much for joining us. Craig Beazley from Up the Cherries in All Departments podcast. There, coming up in the next hour of Transfer Insiders, me and Rory play Keep or Sell with the current.
And thank you for checking out this video. Please hit the like, the subscribe and the bell button below. It helps the channel to grow. So, of course, whilst you're here, check out other videos that we've got up here on the channel. We've had Tom Meehan, former Kasabian frontman and now solo artist, talking about his love for Leicester City and his whole career. Very, very interesting. We've also had Richard Archer from Hardfi. He's recently released his new single and it is also going to be going on tour later on this year. So go get your tickets, go check out the interview with Richard. Also, Adam Devlin from the Blue Tones. He's going to be at the Firewood Fire Station later on this year, so do check that out. And the link, again, is in the interview with Adam. We've had Gaz Whelan on from the Happy Mondays. Damon Minchella from Ocean Colour Scene rejoined us as well. And we've also had Peter Hooton from The Farm. So please do check out all of our videos. Again, thank you to talkSPORT for welcoming us on, and we'll see you in the next video.